we don't give ourselves enough credit. The more you engage with your creativity, the more creative you get.
Our brain tricking us going, yeah, I really want that, when we don't.
She is not only an incredible artist, but just like a stellar human.
Busy people get shit done. Full stop, the end.
We've been programmed to fit into boxes, into these stereotypical boxes where you are this or you are that. You're listening to episode 15 of the Apology Void podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome. Oh,
back.
My goodness. Sal.
We had a whirlwind episode last fortnight.
What in the world was that? That was incredible.
How good was it to have a guest?
Can we do that more?
I think that needs to be a bit of a pattern going forward.
Ooh, a pattern. Like, I like that. I like that. Maybe like once a month we can try to have a guest on, because that was just epic. And what an epic first guest to have here.
She's legendary. Brenda is legendary. I cannot.
Truly. Truly. And the fact that, like, I just met her randomly by, you see a little bit of it behind me, by buying her prints online, and then, like, met you randomly and connected all of us. You guys basically live down the street.
We live about, which isn't, in the grand scheme of things, yes, because we live in the opposite side of the world, but Brenda and I live maybe like an hour, I reckon,
That's not
from
bad.
each other.
That's wild.
No, it's close. Like, really, for Australian standards.
I'm like, I live an hour from my parents and I see them regularly, and an hour from my sister and I see her regularly. And so I'm like connecting these two people who are a 17-ish hour time difference away from me, who have never met. And it made me so happy. And then for her to just be like so in alignment with everything we have mentioned on every episode leading up to that. How cool!
That's what blew my mind, right? When after the episode finished, I was like, wow, that was just solidifying so many things that we have already spoken about to date, but just in like a bit of a different way. It was great.
Yeah. It was just so cool. So cool for her to just say the things in a slightly different verbiage, and with her own life experience and as a mom. That was neat.
Yeah, that's super cool. Because we don't have that experience, obviously, as you know.
No. And so I'm like, ooh, maybe we need more parents too. Like, that's a really kind of cool perspective.
Yeah. Cool little niche. So, Brenda, again, thank you. Phenomenal. We loved it, if you're listening to this episode. And I just want to maybe we'd ask our listeners, is that something you're interested in us doing going forward? Like, do you want us to have guests? Is it something you enjoyed? Send us a message, let us know, and we'll just make it happen, as we do.
Like, that's kind of the way we do everything here is you have an idea, you just do it. And I feel like that's something that she brought up is, you know, you can say something as much as you want. You can say, I want to be a dancer. I want to be a chef. I want to be this or that. But, like, are you doing anything about it? And that is like kind of how I try to live my life. And I feel like more people should. So that's a piece that just really stuck out to me. Like, if you want something, just go do it. But were there any spots in particular that really stood out to you, or things that like you'd want to talk on a little bit more in depth?
Yeah, definitely. But before I do, I don't want to forget this point when you were just saying, like, if it's something you want to do it. 100%. An extension of that is when we were talking about, or Brenda was talking about people will say, oh, I want to be a dancer or a baker or whatever, but they don't really want that, right? So then when they try, they don't give it the commitment that it requires or you need to make it happen. So it's not about just going, oh, I want to do that because maybe you feel like you have to, or maybe you feel like it's the expected thing to do, or maybe you feel like it just looks fun on a movie. I don't know, like, oh, that person's fun. Look how much fun they're having on that movie that's make-believe. I want to do that. Do you really want to do that? Probably not. So it's like the example that she used was the recipes, right? I think it was Recipe Tin. And funnily enough, I heard that I'd never heard of that Instagram account before. And I heard it, like, they're in the news for, like, recipe. Someone, like, copied her recipe. Anyway, someone copied her recipes or something. Just really random. It's not important. But 2 times this week I've heard it, must check it out. She was saying, like, she spends the time developing, like, iterating on the recipes because that's something she wants to do. You can't just be like, I want to be a baker and make one batch of cookies and be like, done. Excellent. That doesn't mean you want to be a baker. Being a baker means putting in the hard work, doing recipe after recipe, 100 different versions and making sure it's right. So that was a really good point too. Like, making sure you want to, and if you do want to, choose what you love, I guess.
Yeah. And like in that same vein, there's a difference between wanting to do something as your career versus as a hobby.
Yes.
And I feel like that's one thing, like say you do want to be a baker, but you don't want to do it as your career. That's a totally
Yes.
different, like, go do it. It's like me and glass blowing or arts. I am not going to become a visual artist tomorrow. Absolutely not. I leave that to Brenda. Um, not gonna be my
Yes.
thing. But do I enjoy it as a hobby? Yes. Do I think it's super cool and something I want to explore? Yes. So I'm gonna do the thing where I book myself a glass blowing class just because. And I'm just going to go enjoy it without the pressure of it having
Mm.
to be a source of income. Whereas I do this thing where I create businesses and I make and run a lot of businesses because I enjoy it and that's something I
Yeah.
want to do.
Same.
Now I know that's not for everyone. And that's
Mm.
not something everyone wants to do. And I'm not just doing it because I have to. I'm not just doing it because somebody said, you're good at this, you should go do it. No, I'm doing it because it's something that drives me, that fulfills me, that makes me feel so good on the inside and that I look forward to doing every single day and learning more about. Like I love some of the challenges that come with it. So that's a little elaboration
No, that's
from that.
perfect. Good distinction too, because hobbies and career, like, you don't need to make 100 recipes to make a hobby, but you do to make a career.
Right.
That's, I
Absolutely.
guess, yeah, that's a really good distinction. A point that I really loved in the episode and wanted to elaborate on was the intuition.
Mm.
I really love, like, that's something that I'm really big on is intuition, gut feeling, going with your values, going with your morals, not going against them, making decisions based on that. And when things feel wrong, it's probably wrong. So we spoke about, um, that feeling, like that feeling when something's right, etc., to do things. And then we used a little bit of devil's advocate, or which is great. We love that. I'm that person too, about the food thing. So I might feel right to eat something that might not be healthier, air quoting, because you know me and my food. I'm all for the balance and doing things that, anyway, another whole topic. But that intuition feeling, right? So I use the example a little while ago. I'll be vague. I had a job with a boss, and the boss asked me to do something that went against one of my core values. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, and if that meant that I got fired, so be it. Because I thought to myself, I need to decide whether that feeling that's wrong is a part of. Because I think that if it destroys your values or goes against your values, it's the cost of that is too high for me personally. So I was like, no, that actually breaks one of my core beliefs. I'm saying no. If I get fired of it, I'm fine with it because I can't do that and like live with myself knowing that I did that, if that makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that intuition is a really important thing. And yeah, there is that other side of it that can be misleading, like Brenda was talking about. But
Mm.
you have to follow and check your gut and your alignment. So when I think about intuition, it's I'm going also with the questions of is this going to hurt me or is this going to hurt somebody else? And that's a really
Mm-hmm.
good way to sometimes distinguish your intuition from your possible addiction, whether it's to things like sugar or alcohol or whatever, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Work. Gosh, work can be a thing that we push ourselves to do and do and do and do and do and say, oh, but I feel so good and led to do this, but it's destroying other parts of your life. So,
Yeah.
like, there's an easy way to get off track with your intuition, but if you start asking yourself deeper, like the why am I doing this thing? Everything has a why. Everything comes from a place. And like you were talking about with the this hurts me and my values, that's your intuition telling you, like, I cannot do this thing because it does not
Mm-hmm.
align with who I am. And that's so important. So very important.
Mm. I think there's a difference between that feeling of, I'll use the word addiction, like when you are doing something like drinking or, whatever that might be. I feel like that's a different feeling than that guttural experience, though, in my personal experience, and maybe it's different for everybody, hence the example that was used. I feel like an intuition is like an energy.
Mhm.
It's like a knowing in your body that it's right or it's wrong. Sometimes when you get that like sickening feeling that you can't explain it towards something, I feel like it's so deep that it's really hard to put into words. Whereas when we're talking about like, I personally wouldn't use the word intuition, but that intuition in wanting to like feed an addiction, that's just like our chimp brain or our body going, oh yeah, I want that, yum, like I love that, and our brain tricking us, going, yeah, I really want that, when we don't, I guess.
Yeah.
Finding that distinction is my bottom line.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
totally
And
agreed.
yeah, it's also that following patterned behavior. And like
Yes.
you sometimes get the craving to do something or the feeling to do something because it's so programmed in, like you said, like the
Mm,
chimp brain, but it's programmed in as part of sometimes like an emotional or traumatic response to things. Like when you're feeling stressed, your body says you need chocolate because of an underlying other feeling. And
mm,
processing that other part of your kind of like where that sugar craving comes from is a piece of that healing so that
mm.
that doesn't become something you do, I'm doing this in air quotes, intuitively, or
I'm rubbing up on you.
because
It goes.
you really are. That's I've not said that before when I've done
No,
it.
I love
Ugh.
it.
And I did it
I
earlier in a
love it.
different meeting too. I did it earlier
Oh,
today and was like,
sorry.
gosh dang it, Sal.
Gosh,
But
sorry.
I,
Like, gosh, dang it. And I'm like, shit.
God bless it.
Oh
Bologna
dear,
sandwiches. Oh my.
that's you and me. I'm just like,
Oh, it comes from the having worked with kids for so long and having to
oh,
come
it
up with these
does.
like additional phrases that you have to use. I think I said the words, I was teaching kids the other day, and I was like, well, poop or doos. And I was like, and she's like,
Dude,
pooper. She just responded back, poop or do. And I was like, well, that probably wasn't appropriate either. Gosh dang it. Now your parents are going to say that. It's say, like, wonder where that came from. And it was your music teacher over here saying poop or
it could be way
do's.
worse, let's be honest.
It could. It could. I could have said all sorts of things that needed to be bleeped out. But, gosh,
Well, in true form, we
bless.
just got sidetracked. Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh.
But before I forget, another thing that she was talking about, Brenda was talking about, was when we spoke about like becoming a mum and doing the art and doing all the things, and she's like, I stopped overthinking because I just had to do it, and it's so true, right? Busy people get shit done. Full stop. The end.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a lot on your plate, you're getting it done because you've got no time to mess around, no time to think about it or overthink it. It just happens. Boom, 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 done.
You just do. And sometimes, like, this sounds crazy. Maybe not. No. No, it doesn't. Sometimes I'll create the illusion of busy for myself during a day when I know, like, I have to do this thing. Or I'll create an imaginary deadline that doesn't exist and tell other people that it's a deadline so that I actually do the thing. Because when you're under pressure and when you have to do the things, you just do them. So that could be
100%.
ADHD brain, but like I will create
I
that.
nearly said that. I was like, is that ADHD brain? Because you're creating like fun things in your mind to do stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, I was just thinking that. That is absolute classic. Now, let's just learn something about it. I just want to clarify. You have an ADHD diagnosis, right? Question mark.
So, okay. Here's what happened. I'm going to tell this true full story real quick right here.
Oh, yeah, we're learning together.
So, I was in such excruciating pain, trying to find an answer for the past, like, many years. And back in 2020, I went to a neurologist and I was limping down her hallway, literally crying. And she watched all of this. We did this whole hour-long appointment, told her all of my symptoms, and what she said at the end of that is, I think you need to do a neuropsych eval and be evaluated for ADHD. Nothing about my pain, nothing about my other stuff, just ADHD. And I was like, wow. So then I decided to go to my therapist. I brought this news to my therapist and was like, okay, buddy, this is what my neurologist said that I should be evaluated for ADHD. And he's like, hold on a second, you haven't been? You haven't been? He's like, you haven't been
That's
evaluated for
phenomenal.
ADHD yet? And I was like, no, I've been pretty high functioning my whole life. And he's like, well, it's very apparent. He's like, we could go through with the testing, but it is so apparent that I don't necessarily want you to waste your money. He's like, yeah, you are definitely high up there on that ADHD-ness and also complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was like, thanks, bud.
A combo.
Good session. So that's the story on
There you go.
that. Yep. Truly wonderful.
Maybe I assumed as well. Maybe I was like, of course.
It just makes sense for you. Like, that's
It
just who
does.
you are.
It does make sense.
Thankfully, one of the medications that I take for my joint pain also helps with my brain space. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
it's
is
great.
fine. Like I have some of the closest people in my life are diagnosed ADHD. Like it's a vibe. I'm all for it. Like if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. You just got to roll with it. Hey.
Yeah, there are pros, there are cons, there are ups and there are downs, and I meet every one of basically the criteria for women with ADHD.
Isn't there ups and downs and pros and cons with when you're atypical as well? I mean,
Literally everything. Yeah.
mm.
But my social battery just sometimes gets exhausted very fast and I get overstimulated. Like the other day when Nathan was trying to explain a game to me with one of his friends there and I just started crying explaining a game and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just overstimulated. I just need a minute.
Oh,
He's like, he's the best human ever. But it's just a game, and my brain said it wasn't just a game, and there were too many rules for me to keep straight, and I was bouncing, and there were too many noises and inputs, and it was just a hot mess. So,
it happens. So we got again, in true fashion, we're sidetracked, but we're good. We were talking about you're creating scenarios to get shit done because it makes you busy, but you're not really busy.
Correct.
So that might work for you. There's a top tip. If you find it hard to get things done, create little games around it.
That's exactly what I do every day, all day.
I have this game. We all know I'm a bit of a crazy person when it comes to organising, but I have this game where you're going to laugh. Like with cleaning, like tidying up. And when I enter a room, I have to do like 5 things in that room. I don't know, stop. I'll be like, if there's like a cup, I'll picking up the cup is 1, and like, I don't know, throwing something out is 2, and like, I don't know, dusting the TV remote is 3, whatever it is. And then I can feel like accomplished. I think it started because I have that. I mean, a lot of people have this, but I feel like it's always never enough.
Mm.
Like, ever. Like, I could clean my house for 24 hours straight, and I'm like, it's not clean enough. It's not.
Then you apologize when other people come over and you're like, I'm sorry, it's
I'm
such a
so
mess.
sorry. Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's not. Like, really, it's not.
What is that? Like, where did that come from? Where we're all like, my house has to be perfect, pristine,
But it
absolutely
doesn't.
magical. No, no one lives like
No,
that. Not lies. Few people live like that.
which is fine.
Few.
Yeah,
Great.
that's fine. So I feel like if I have that game where I do 5 or 10 things or something, or time myself, like 10 minutes in each room or whatever, that's always a good one. Then I'm like, okay, that's all I'm allowed to do today. That's it. Anyway, again, sidetrack. Busy people
Oh yeah.
get shit done.
Busy people. Busy
That is the
people.
bottom line. Thanks, Brenda.
Busy people. Get shit done.
This is my morning tea. I'm having my tea.
I really appreciate that. I appreciate that you have your morning tea. I have my
It's a
evening
pretty
tea.
boring cup. We both have boring cups today.
I wore a more fun shirt. It was to highlight the art behind me today. I mean, like...
Yeah, so let's see the art. Yeah, okay, there we go.
It's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
super pretty. So if
So
you're
beautiful.
listening and not watching, it's very colourful. There's like reds and purples and blues. It's a little bit. It reminds me a little bit beachy, a little bit galaxy. Yeah, super pretty. I love it. So I'd obviously never met Brenda before, so I'd never seen her art. So I definitely need to have a look because it's really beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And again, like, go check out BrendaMangalore.com. Go check her out on Instagram. She is not only an incredible artist, but just like a stellar human. Stellar human. Like, absolutely. You were just talking about cleaning, and it brought me back to this point again in our conversation with her, where she was talking about creativity and the different kinds of creativity. Yes. And early in our conversation, you're like, I'm not creative. And then she started talking about spreadsheets. And you were like, okay, wait, maybe I am creative. But also to come up with these like games to keep yourself engaged. That's creativity.
It's creative. Yeah.
And like, I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things we actually do. And once you engage with your creativity, the more you engage with your creativity, the more creative you get. It's basically like this practiced skill where you just keep on evolving it and you grow it and you do the things over and over and over to the point where you feel comfortable and it's second nature. So it's like, how do you become a songwriter? You do it every day. How do you make spreadsheets? You do it every day. You don't become this incredibly creative, amazing artist overnight. You just don't. You practiced it. You practice it through being bad at it and you get better. It's like babies learning to walk. Also, fun fact, I never crawled.
Oh, ever?
Ever.
Wow.
I never crawled.
Straight from sitting to walking?
I rolled.
I rolled. Okay, there you go.
I rolled.
I think I walked earlier. I think my mum said that, but I don't know if I crawled or not. I have no idea. I'm trying not to get sidetracked here. Fucking no. The creativity, I actually try not to say that too much anymore. I do still do it because I am stuck in that traditional, like, if you can paint a picture, you're creative. If you can't, you're not. So I do find myself falling back into that. But I think I mentioned it in the episode as well. It was the time management thing that got me going, oh, like, and Brenda brought up a couple of things that I do that she mentions creative. I was like, oh, okay. So it was another reminder that, like, the organising of the house, like the finding the containers that match and finding a spot for them and finding a spot for everything you own. I never viewed that as creativity. Like, I would have viewed that as, I don't know, some kind of weird obsession thing. But, like, I guess it is. But it was the person who told me about time management being creative that made me think about that traditional, I was going to say model. It's not a model. That traditional thought process of, you know, it's a left brain, right brain thing. Remember that? I mean, there's a little bit of, you know, the hemisphere things that contribute to that. So there is information about it, but it's not so clear cut. It's like if you're predominantly left and analytical, you can't be right. That's not quite right anymore, but that's where it's come from, I think, because I was like, I'm left brain. I can't be right. I'm left only.
Well, and that's like, That's totally understandable because I think we've been kind of programmed to fit into boxes,
Yeah.
into these stereotypical boxes where you are this or you are that. You are one thing or you are the other. There is no in between. And I feel like as we continue to evolve, those walls are being broken down, which is so beautiful because there's so much in betweenness and you need both sides of your brain to literally function. So,
Oh, yeah,
there.
like
You
to
are a
live.
creative,
Oh,
beautiful
true, so true.
human, Sal. You are creative in so many ways.
So anyway, I loved that. And I feel like if you're listening or watching and you feel like you're in that kind of box or you're like, I'm not creative, I can't do that, you absolutely can, number one, because of, say, if you wanted to be an artist, you just need to practice and do that many hours of things to make the skill. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you want to be creative, there's other ways to be creative. And it's just accepting that within yourself. And maybe you're not, I could if I wanted to. I don't want to paint a picture. Like I'm not going to spend hours painting a picture. I'm not interested. And that's fine. Like I'd rather be creating in my garden, for example.
Yes, that is
You know?
such creativity.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we're all creative, all of us,
Yeah.
just in different ways. So don't feel inferior, air quotey,
Yeah.
inferior, if you can't paint a picture or write a song or sing or what's another like traditional creativity thing?
Dance.
Dance. I was also a dancer when I was younger, so that's probably a dead giveaway that I never really got. It's fine.
A lot of those arts. Can I take a minute to get actually really off topic for a second? So you mentioned your garden, and you and
Oh
I are in
yes.
completely different seasons. Like you're going into fall, I'm in spring, so your garden is wrapping up at some point, and mine is
Mm.
just starting. So I was wondering, how did your garden do this year? How did it
To be
do? Did
honest,
it
not
produce anything?
great. I know, I was disappointed. So it was the first time, the last few years, we've been living at the same house and we sort of, got used to where to plant thing anyway, etc. We produced a lot, like a high yield. Like each plant, lots of, very prolific, basically. So this is the first year growing in a different location, different soil, different property. So there's a couple of facts. I've learnt a lot. So I'm not disappointed. We got a fair few cucumbers. Cucumbers were quite good. We got three watermelons. Three watermelons. I was happy with three
Ooh.
watermelons. Chilies, no. Couple of reasons. And tomatoes, no. Well, I got a few, maybe a couple of kilos of tomatoes. But when I say we used to grow heaps, I'm talking we used to grow upwards of 30 kilos of tomatoes. Like a lot. So comparative, it's probably great, but comparatively to previously, no. A kangaroo ate all of our plants very early in the season. Yes, that was a big factor into why we didn't get much fruit. We noticed there was like a few chew things, and I think that might have been a possum actually, like chewing the tomatoes. But then I went out one day and the plants were stripped bare. Leaves, fruit, nothing else. They didn't eat the eggplant leaves, they're very bitter. But chili leaves, tomato leaves, capsicum leaves, all of it, down to sticks. Nothing left. So it was a bloody kangaroo. Someone said to me yesterday, I was talking to them about this exact topic, and they said, but how lucky are you to live in an area where there's kangaroos? And I said, 100%. Super grateful to live in this area. It's beautiful. I was pissed at that kangaroo, gotta say.
Yeah, I would be upset with the kangaroo too. Like, but I also don't want to fight a kangaroo. So,
I didn't
I'm
see the kangaroo. If you're wondering how I knew, I saw the poop. What did you say? The poopadoodaloo. The shit on the ground. I saw the kangaroo shit on the ground. That's how I knew.
honestly, I wouldn't know what to look for with kangaroo poo. I haven't had to look for that. So
No shit. You live in America. You're joking.
I've never, had to encounter a kangaroo in person in my garden, so.
Oh, no, no. And so, yes, we're coming into autumn for my Aussies, autumn. And, oh, actually, we're well and truly in it, actually, into winter. And I'm not going to grow winter veggies this year.
Well,
It's okay for
I
a
don't
couple of
think it
different
gets
reasons.
as cold there as it does, like where
Oh,
you're at,
no.
right? Yeah,
No, God,
no.
no.
So you
Not,
could still
oh, we
actually
might get like a
grow.
handful of below zero, but not, like,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
hang on a minute.
Below
Celsius.
zero meaning our 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking boom, you knew.
Oh, that one's easy.
Oh, okay.
The rest
I'll
of them
remember
are
that now.
not.
32. So zero, sometimes we get below, but it's not like a common occurrence. But we do get like frosts and things which will kill. There's plants that survive. They can go broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and Brussels
Yeah.
sprouts and all that over winter. But yeah, I'm not doing it this year.
We
And
can't do
have you
any of
planted
that.
yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
So
you
we have all
can't.
of our
It's
inside
too
stuff. It's still been like lows around your like 5 degrees
Oh, you can't plant
or
yet. It's
4.
too cold.
Yeah, not yet. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Getting there.
We're getting so close. But okay, so last year my parents had a bunny that basically ate all of their plants on their deck. And I was like, that's one bougie bunny. You're just growing produce for it. So it sounds like you have the same problem. I don't know
Yeah.
how things will do here. One of mine and Nathan's first dates was actually harvesting things in his garden here at his house, or our house now.
You
And
guys are too cute.
our first date was harvesting 70 pounds of tomatoes from his garden in one day.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's like what we used to do.
Yeah, it's like a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, back on topic. I was just so curious because I was like, oh, we haven't talked about your garden in a minute.
No, we
But
haven't actually.
that's such good creative use of your brain and your like body, and it like integrates actually both parts of your brain when you're doing those wonderfully like outdoorsy, creative, marvelous things. So
And
aside from the
bonus, you get food.
correct, unless there's a
Free food.
kangaroo,
Well, not free, but
a kangaroo that poo poos on your party.
it's okay. It's okay.
So okay, coming back for just a second. The other thing with like creativity and that Brenda was talking about was this one phrase that really stuck out to me was notice what you notice.
Oh, yes. That was best. I mean, yeah, that was a note I had actually.
Notice what you notice.
Notice what you notice. Yeah.
And that's so much of like attitude and your brain and how you perceive the world. Because if you're noticing just the negative things in your day and you start to notice that you're noticing those things, then you can make a change. It's like you can actually do something to make a difference if you acknowledge what you're noticing, if you acknowledge what you're seeing. If you notice, oh gosh, I was just reading the book, The High Five Habit.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
It's a good one. It's a really, really good one. But she was talking about reprogramming your RAS. And that was all about changing what you notice in the world. And she talked about trying to find heart-shaped rocks or heart-shaped objects. And when you start to program your brain to look for those things, to notice those things, you start to notice everything else that looks like hearts, everything else that makes you smile. When you start to look for and pay attention to the things that you're noticing, then you can make a legitimate change in your whole entire life, which is the coolest thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
it's like two things like color walk. You're on a color walk and you can, like, I'm going to go walk and pick out everything that's yellow or blue or green or whatever. Yeah. That's similar. Like, it's heart-shaped rocks. You can do that with colors and stuff. Good top tip. And notice what you notice is also a really good, and Brenda did mention this, it's a clue as to what might be like important to you or what you could be focusing on or, different things like that. If you notice something that is, I can't think of an example, right? It's like, so like maybe an attitude or a behavior in someone all the time. And it could be positive or negative, either one. So if it's a positive one, you think, I love how that person does this. But you notice that. It's like, maybe that's something that you want to emulate, or, maybe something you desire in somebody else, whether it be a partner or a friend or something. So, yeah, it's powerful to notice what you
Yeah.
notice. And the journaling is really good. We spoke about the journaling and notice it, like writing down things. So some people hate journaling. I know that. Even if you've got notes in your phone, like, and you just take notes of like notice things. You could title it nothing. I don't care, whatever you do. But like dot point it, it could be behaviors. Like, I can't think of examples. I'm dying. Anyway, just dot point it in your phone if you want to. You don't have to journal out 3 pages of stuff you noticed from the day before, is what I'm trying to get.
Well, like people say that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do is notice your thoughts and how you feel.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at your phone. And by bringing your attention and awareness to it, you can then bring further intention into everything that you do. So bringing your attention to things you notice about other people. What are you noticing about them, about their appearance? Are you saying that they look beautiful, that they look any number of ways, that you love their shorts? Can you say those things, again, back about yourself? And those are things that are important to you. They're your values. They're the things you love. They're the things you should pursue, perhaps. If you're struggling to be like either a happier person or you're struggling to find hobbies, notice the things around you that you notice and your mindset and what you think about throughout your day. Write it down, whether in your phone or on a piece of paper. The physical honestly helps because that physical actual writing helps reinforce all of the things. That's a technical science-y thing. We could post about that all day. But if you want to make a change, start noticing things in your world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that.
Boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
And look, I feel like we could talk about that episode and pull gems and gems from it all day long because it was phenomenal. And to be fair, some of the things that were touched on are pretty big topics in themselves. So maybe we will come back to it sometime. But
huge.
Definitely let us know if you enjoyed it. Again, another shout out to Brenda because Brenda, we love you. And I don't even know you, but we love you. And yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, same. Absolutely incredible. So you guys have the most beautiful next couple weeks, and maybe notice where your brain was going while you were listening to this episode. What were your ideas or thoughts? And if your thoughts were to leave a comment on one of our episodes or share the episode with somebody else, do it. Do it. We'd love it. So anyway, have a great week. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. See ya.